going on? Just a quick little video here. I thought that the last devlog was going to be my final one, but upon thoroughly testing the game, I found some serious performance issues on some devices. Some little spikes that dropped the frame rate to 15 frames per second, even if it was just for a split second, you know. So I went through the profiler and found the problems and fixed them quite easily, to be fair. Quite easily. I did deep profiling. So as you can see here, I'm getting these spikes and it's dropping to 15 frames per second there. Just these little spikes here, boop, boop, and then sometimes it continues that way for a little chunk depending on what I'm doing. So for example, this here was me realizing that the bloom post-processing effect was actually causing a slowdown itself, and all I had to do was simply reduce the threshold to reduce the amount of pixels that the bloom was affecting that were being calculated every frame. Just a little adjustment. I think I changed it to like 0.3 or something. So as you can see here, if I move the window over, I've got the threshold set to 0.3, the intensity to 0.3, and the scatter to 0.6. I found these to be the optimal numbers. I was just playing about with them, just reduced them a bit. I think this was 0.8, that was 0.6 or something like that, and that's all I had to do, and it actually completely removed that spike that the bloom was causing. Little thing like that made a big difference. And as you can see here now, it's slightly different. If you've seen the previous videos, it's much less hazy, clearer picture. Yeah, so that was one of the things. The other thing was Text Mesh Pro, the prefabs where the text comes out. So when the player's taking damage and healing at the same time, oh dear, I don't have any credits. So these little X's and pluses that appear when you're taking damage and healing are actually causing a major slowdown because of how Text Mesh Pro works. And I was just using a font and just generating, well, I wasn't instantiating it, I was using an object pooler still, but instead of using Text Mesh Pro, I simply used a texture, you know, a sprite. So yeah, that solved that straight away. So I think the Text Mesh Pro, this might be one of the slowdowns here, but I haven't opened up the full. And it turned out that while it looked like it was GameObject.setActive that was causing the problem, actually it was the object that was setting active was the Text Mesh Pro object. And I was the slowdown is because when it spawns, I'm then resizing it and moving it across the screen, right? And it's text, so it's constantly having to rebuild the mesh of the text, which kills performance. Absolutely kills it, especially when you're just spawning so many on the screen at any given time. So that was a major bottleneck. So as you can see here, spawn floating text, show floating text is causing a massive CPU usage there. So that had to be dealt with, and I dealt with it. I don't know why I'm in universal. Here we go, textures. I don't know, sprites. Is it in there probably? Goodness me. It's mobile sprite maps. Yeah. So all I did was make this texture here plus an X. It's just a four square texture. Simple. So all I'm spawning is a sprite now, and that just totally removed that spike. No more drops to 15 frames per second when we're doing that. And the other problem was also with the UI, which was I believe, again, data loader, layout, rebuild. So as you can see here, this is taking up massive amounts of power. Yeah, 24% there just on rebuilding the layout. So what I did was previously I had everything as one big canvas, and what I've got here now, you can see I have canvas for debugging, canvas for the HUD. Can I get the thingy here? The HUD canvas, video player for the intro, win, boss win, campaign win, you know, countdown, player died, canvas static. So all these canvases here that are separate, especially the HUD, have animated objects on them. So the resource, as you collect resources, the numbers are counting up here, and these little icons rotate. And obviously you have the health bar here that's constantly changing, and this causes the UI to be rebuilt. The thing that I discovered is that when you rebuild this canvas, it does it to all the children even if they're deactivated. So if they're not active in the hierarchy, they still have to be rebuilt, and it was killing performance. So I split up all the canvases into individual ones, all the UIs that are going to appear, and then I put all these ones have animations, because when you win, it calculates all your resources. And then the static ones, the main menu and stuff like that, they're all in there separately. Okay, they're in a static one, so that it's not being rebuilt, so I can have them all in one hierarchy. And that solved that performance issue. That was that done. So this is the other issue here. 66% on GameObject.set active. Well, I figured out that my object pooler, well, this is the original here. Just open it in Notepad. My object pooler was iterating through all of the pooled objects every time I called one, and compared the tags to select the correct object, and then it activated that one. But as you can see, I have a tremendous amount of pooled objects. Bibbidi bibbidi boop, where are we? Object pooler, items to pool, a lot. And some of them, for the bullets, I have like 100 pooled objects. For some of the enemies, I have 50, because I get a lot on the screen at once. 25, 50, 100. I could probably reduce these still a little more, but there's a lot. And to iterate through all of them just to find the right tag is insane. So what I did was I changed it to use a dictionary. So instead of iterating through here, I simply just added a dictionary here, pooled objects. And I didn't have to change any of the functions in my code where I called it. So I didn't have to go around changing anything. I just implemented it in the script. You still call the function exactly the same. You put the tag name in there, and what it does. The reason I thought of this very simple solution was because in programming, when you're dealing with mathematical problems, well, the fastest way to calculate something is to already know the answer, isn't it? And that's where the dictionaries come in. You've got the tag, you've got to get it from the right group. So all I have to do then is iterate through the pool of objects of that tag only, and find ones that are not active yet, and then activate it. And if they aren't active, if they're all active and there isn't any inactive to use, then instantiate one if expand is checked on the pooler. So very, 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 very quick fix, and removed a spike of 60% CPU usage. So major optimization, and I think that was it. That's all I had to do in terms of code to optimize it. The rest was oh yeah, well, I had to change the floating text code. So I have a spawn floating sprites now instead of spawn floating text. So I simply just put the two sprites in, pretty much the same logic as with the font, but just using sprites. So I'm still passing in the same values as before. Once again, I didn't need to change anything where I called it from. I have these balls. I think I added this ball actually, UI text. No, I think that was in there originally. I'm not sure. Let's see. No, it was all in there originally. It's exactly the same. Yep, exactly the same. So the same parameters. I left the option for UI text to be spawned on the UI, and I've got show floating sprite here. Okay, that's all I did. That's it. That was my optimizations, and it removed these spikes that were dropping my frame rate to 15 frames per second here and there. I think the game looks better now as well with less bloom, and I did optimize the sharpness of it. So yeah, that was it. Just a quick little update on that. Maybe there's a couple things in there someone might not have known. The game is now optimized and ready, and the game design write-up is done as well. I've done that. I'm going to make a web page of it, a blog type write-up for the game design process, and I'm going to make a video. Sorry, that volume is coming out of my... I forget that I've got open back earphones. I'm going to make a game design video, quick rundown of the design process and my decisions that I made, the lessons I learned and things like that. Just a summary of it. And then it'll be ready to publish, and I'll pick a date. I'll put together my social media videos and all that and crack on. I've got 2 other games that are sitting there waiting for me to start finishing them off. The core mechanics are done. You know, the framework is laid. The block out is done. I just need to polish them up, write up some code to handle player states, and then they'll be ready. And I'm going to start churning them out quicker than this one. This one's taking a long time, but it's the first one, and I wanted to get it right. And it's finally at a stage that I'm really happy with. And yeah, time to press forward. Thanks for watching.